Oh my gosh. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Night Live and Monday Morning Live. And it's incredible that I'm. Anyway, I don't even think I should go into it. It's too insane. Anyway, I'm really happy to be here. Hi, Jen. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Beautiful. Everyone's showing up. Good. Beautiful. All right. It's crazy. Let's turn this on. Got to stay a little bit cool. Okay. Good. All right. Well, Sawadee Kap and Namaste, Namaskar, Aloha, and hello to everyone. Okay. So let's start today. Yeah. As can be expected. So I get up this morning and I'm ready to read some of the questions, and what happens? The screen doesn't work. I have this, I have this big screen and computer, and it looks like it's going to fall any second. Anyway, it wouldn't work. So I'm on my laptop anyway, and these two phones. And let me just tighten this because it's going to fall, and that's going to be a bummer. Oh my gosh. Well, hey, if there's anyone who knows anybody in Phuket who is an IT type person, have them please get in touch with me through Oasis, Oasis Healing Asia, which is we have a website now for that, oasishealingasia.com. And we'll be opening pretty soon, a couple weeks actually. Well, I hate to say give a time on that, but it looks like it's going to open in a couple weeks. We're pretty close. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Anyway, so let's get started. I'm going to get totally distracted by these things. Anyway, I would like to start with explaining some amazing things that are happening. Okay. Reopen, close, please. Go away. Okay. So anyway, let's get rid of this. All right, cool. All right. So anyway, I mentioned last week, and I'm going to mention it again, that coming up real soon, I'm not sure when, real soon, real soon, we're going to have 3 groups, membership groups. And the reason is because I just don't have, I can't, well, a few reasons. Number one, we need that. We need to separate what we're talking about here, because there's 3 basic topics that seem to come up. As originally my my focus and specialty has been with chronically fermenting cells, as you all know, over the last few decades. And but anyway, when someone has that problem, they've also got other problems as well, because that doesn't just remember, that's just an adaptive process to a toxic body, basically to a toxicity. And whether or not we live healthy lives or not, we're still exposed to an incredible amount of toxins. So Anyway, one of the adaptive physiological processes, biological processes that takes place is that when cells lose their enough of their mitochondria, those little organelles inside of cells that produce energy from oxygen and glucose, they allow us to do what we're doing. When we lose a certain amount of those, the cell has to switch operating systems and go into a fermentative operating system. And that's basically what we're talking about. But you have to understand those toxicities that are causing that are probably are related to all sorts of things, from parasites to hidden dental infections, and um, all these electromagnetic frequencies, and stuff that's being dropped from the sky, and things that are in our food that we don't know about, that are not even in the labels. And you all know what's going on. But anyway, so we wound up we have come to the point where we're really talking about three separate issues, and I want to accommodate everyone. So in order to do that, we're going to have three groups, right? And since the center is opening up here in Thailand, I won't really have any time to do private consultations anymore. And anyone who's been a victim of my consultations knows that we have a really great talk, and then it's hard for me to get the write up back to you and all that. It's just crazy, and I do apologize. So I want to eliminate all those problems, and I want to try to help everyone I can. So we're going to have three groups. One is going to be just basically health and healing, and that's because with or without having been told that you have chronically fermenting cells. By the way, anyone who's new today and doesn't realize that chronically fermenting cells is the reality of what's going on in someone's body when they're told that they have that astrological sign is ridiculous. I don't know, crab walking sideways, whatever they think they came up with for the etymology of that word. And I think we're going to, if we're going to refer to any astrological sign let's just call it Sagittarius. Okay. Why call it Cancer? We could call it Gemini or Leo. We could call it Virgo. For some reason, they call it Cancer, and they likened it to a crab walking sideways. And anyway, that whatever their imagination was has nothing to do with what's going on in our bodies when we are in that situation. Okay, they are chronically fermenting cells. All right, period. That's it. Okay, so but anyway, so anyone who has that or doesn't have that is also interested in being healthy. All right, because the real goal is not to get rid of any particular manifestation of toxicity, such as CFCs or arthritis or cardiac problems or neurological problems. The goal is not to get rid of those, even though we focus on that. The goal is really to get back to being healthy, so that not only is there no neurological problems, there's no gastrointestinal problems, there's no CFC, there's nothing, right? So our goal is not a military approach to getting rid of and fighting and combating and I'm at battle with. Instead of that, I'm going towards health. Let's take that road to health. Let's go to health. Let's get healthy. Why? Well, health is our birthright. We were born that way. We were born to function optimally. That's how we were born. That's how we were designed by the there's so many words that it's why it's so difficult to communicate with people is because we all have our own unique definitions of words. And so I'm going to use the word God because that's I hesitate to use that word because I know a lot of people don't like that word because that word has been come to mean some male entity, right? God, he created us. He was over there, and we were made by like we were constructed out of something that he made. Anyway, the whole thing sounds very strange and weird, and it's not what happened anyway. It's not the way it works. Okay, so but we'll call what I'm referring to as God. Anyway, God, or how about the fabric of existence, the intelligence of this thing called existence, life, universe, all that sort of thing. So anyway, um, but it is intelligent. If you don't think it's intelligent, then you're not thinking. All right, because I want to find one thing. Can you show me one thing that's not perfectly ordered? I mean, other than the stuff humans do, but I'm saying in nature. By the way, check this out. Have you ever walked into a forest and there's leaves all over the place? Do they look like they're out of place? Does it look dirty? Does it look like you said, "Hey, you know what, man? If I were here, I would put these leaves over here and those leaves over there"? No, it turns out to be it's perfect. You look at it, you go, "Wow!" Right? And there's rocks over here. It's just perfect. It's like wow. And look at the clouds. Have you ever seen the clouds and say, "You know what? It's not right. Should have a few over here and a few." No. What I'm saying is that nature just turns out to be kind of perfect. But anyway, it's well ordered. Well, it's well ordered. Um, um, Regardless of how you think, whatever you think we're sitting on right now, this Earth, if you think it's a flat disk sitting in the middle of, I've never been told. I've never heard it. I've never heard what those people are thinking. But if you think the Earth is flat, if you think the globe, if you think it's elliptical, I don't know. Whatever you think it is. Anyway, when we look at the stars, you can say on March 3rd, the Big Dipper will be here, and it happens precisely. Okay, every time. Sun comes up precisely. You can look at an almanac and you say, when's sunrise going to be on this date? And you find out it turns out to be on that date. All right. Okay. So we're talking about an order that is an order. Things are ordered so incomprehensibly perfect and precisely that can only come from intelligence. All right. Not randomness. You don't randomly have order. Anyway, we've had this discussion before. Anyway, so regardless of what condition one has when they come to these discussions I have with people, health is our concern. So the fundamental basic group will be health and healing, right? And health and healing. You look at that. The root words are heal is to restore, regenerate, right? Okay. And when do we need to do that? Every nanosecond. Why? Because things are breaking down. Remember, 37 million new cells are being produced, and 37 million older cells are being recycled or dying for one reason or another. So, an extremely dynamic process, and so healing is a continual. So, to be healthy is to be able to continually heal, rejuvenate, regenerate, and then procreate, regenerate, rejuvenate, and then procreate. Yes. So, anyway, so we're going to have a group called Health and Healing where we're going to talk about everything from fasting to food. What is human food? And by the way, it shouldn't be it's not a controversy. It's only controversy for people who like to obscure things in order to justify their habits. Oh, did I offend somebody? I'm not sorry. I'm just trying to tell you what I know. Okay. You don't have to. If you don't know it yet, that's okay. You'll know it, hopefully, sometime. But and I'm going to talk about that. We're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about movement. We're going to talk about sleep. We're going to talk about all the things that we need to address and approach consciously in order to be healthy. Okay, because health is what? Health is the optimal functioning of the organism. And the optimal functioning of an organism can only occur when all of the biological requirements of that organism are being met. Then, and only then, can it be optimally functioning, which is, I think, the best working description of health. Okay, so it's not the absence of anything. Remember, health is not the absence of the mythological thing called disease, right? That's an absurd thought, right? Health is the absence of disease. That's like saying light is the absence of darkness. And I've never figured that out. How much darkness would you have to get out of the room to find the light? Bizarre, absurd. However, it's often stated as the definition for health. Anyway, we're going to talk about health and what it is, and all this fasting and all that sort of thing. That's going to be the focus of that group. So if you're in that group, let's just talk about that. Let's not talk about all the other things. Yeah, the other things will come up, but the second group is going to be parasites. And um, and by the way, if you're a member of, if you get the parasite group, you're automatically a member of the other one. So, but anyway, the parasite group, we're going to focus on parasites, okay? Because uh, the parasite question always comes up. And by the way, what's interesting is I remember 2 years ago when I started talking about parasites, and no, it was nobody's talking, no, not many people were talking about it, and suddenly everybody's an expert. Wow, and everybody's talking about it. It's crazy. Anyway, as a result of that, I have gotten communications from people all over the world, and the problem is far worse than I thought it was. It's far worse. I was talking to a poor woman the other night, yeah, um, from South America, and she was telling me about these things that are crawling and coming out of her, and she showed me stuff that she showed me right there, things that were coming out of her head, and I was like, wow. Um, with sometimes they have wings, sometimes they look like worms, and it was like, wow, so yeah. So anyway, that's going to be a focus of our group. We're going to talk about all we're going to talk about parasites. Now, we need to define parasites, and we need to define what it is, what a parasitic relationship is versus a commensal relationship versus a mutual relationship, which are the three basic relationships we can have with these microorganisms. And so that's going to be the focus, and all of them, whether it's loa loa, or it's trichinosis, or it's whatever. There are all sorts. Now, the thing about parasites is, it's really hard to distinguish. Are we also going to include rickettsia? Rickettsia and um, spirochetes, which are these little guys that like to live inside of our cells. Such as syphilis, such as Lyme, such as babesiosa, and these. Uh, yeah, they live inside of our cells. So yeah, I think they qualify because they're getting benefit and we're getting harmed. So yeah, it falls into the definition of parasites. So that group will be talking about that, and then the third group will be on CFCs, and we're going to focus on CFCs, and I want to use that group for almost replacing, not replacing, but yeah, well, yeah, the individual consultations, because now when you come on, these are going to be Zoom groups, so we can have up to 1,000 people in a Zoom group. So it'll be closed. It'll be a closed meeting. It's not going to be broadcast all over the world, but it's going to be, a lot of other people. So as much of your anonymity you want to preserve, you can. So you can have a different Zoom name, and of course you don't have to show your face. However, I would like it to be interactive. That's the goal. The goal will be to be interactive, so I can answer specific questions about your situation, whatever it is. And so if you want to come on and we can see you and talk, or if you want to be hidden, either way, it doesn't matter. I just want everyone to be comfortable, and and I respect we all respect whoever wants to be anonymous with that regard when we're talking about our medical conditions. So, but anyway, so we'll explore that, and we'll find out that although we differ, the programs that we need, and we're going to talk about programs. How do we heal from this? How do we heal? And what should I do? You're going to ask, what should I do? I have this, and this. Well, here's what you should do, and here's what you should. We're going to be we're going to get into therapies. We're going to get into what it is. We're going to get into causes. We're going to get into the differences between the locations in which these CFCs arise, and all that. So, and what I will do in each of these groups is the groups will open. I'm going to do monthly sessions, and I don't know what to call them. I don't like the words Q&A. Q&A. It's not hard to say questions and answers, right? It's not hard to say. I think we can say it. I mean, it won't. How much longer? Q&A, questions and answers. Then, I mean, maybe a nanosecond longer to say it. But you know why I like that? Because it's really, we're communicating again. I kind of like that. I don't like to use acronyms and I don't like to use idioms because we use them to shortcut and not have to think. Every time you're going to say something, just try to come up with a way of saying it in your own language, right? Don't say the early bird catches the worm because, right? It happened the other day. I went to get some coffee in the morning, and there was a guy there before me, and he goes, "The early bird catches the worm," and I don't know. I didn't want to tell him I wasn't there for worms, but he, I guess he was. It's a bizarre thing. So instead of using idioms, let's just say, "Hey, let's just talk to each other." Now, let me plug this in before it dies. And so I will talk about a particular subject in each group for perhaps 10, 15 minutes. And then we'll open it up to live questions, right? I want to have live. I want to have interaction. I would like to do that. I'm sure you would prefer it, and I would prefer it because, when we do, and we're never going to stop these Sunday night, Monday morning live streams because, I mean, they're very important, and it's kind of I think it's kind of pivotal. It's kind of what's the word, foundational of all of this, and I don't want to lose that. And this one, as you all know, this one, what we're doing right now is when you send in questions and I answer them. Whereas in these groups, the goal will be to you spontaneously ask questions and I spontaneously answer them, and we have an interaction. And then some person can say, well, this, and we can turn it into a group discussion. All right. So and then also on those groups, we're going to have some sort of platform where we can all closed platform where we can all share every day to day, minute by minute, in real time, thoughts, concerns, and we'll all be on that. I'll pop in, and not to every question. Otherwise, that's all I'd be doing. We're sitting there looking at these chats coming up. But everybody, because you're all, what's amazing to me is how well informed everyone, all of you are. You really know a lot. I've learned so much. You all the time are asking me questions that I go, "What? What's that?" And I find out, wow. So, I mean, who's the teacher? I think we're all the teacher and we're all the students, right? And that's how we should look at it. Okay, so we're all the same. We're all the same. All right. Anyway, that's what we're gonna do, and so we'll be opening here in Bangkok next year, hopefully Phuket, and of course we've got Oasis in the U.S., which is as you know, been there 19 years, and so we've been doing that a long time over there, and that's so. If you have any problem with CFCs at all, and you're in the U.S. or you want to go to the U.S., contact an Oasis of Healing. An Oasis of Healing, .com. But you know what? I made it kind of easier to remember because people forget that to use an. they just put Oasis of Healing. They wind up at an Oasis of Hope or something like that. So instead of, I don't know why I'm always into grammar and proper communication. I had to put the word and I should have just called it Oasis of Healing. But anyway, I didn't. So anyway, to make it easy, you can just go to stopmakingcancer.com and everyone can remember that. You don't even have to write it down, stopmakingcancer.com. It will redirect you to that website. Okay. And then you, through them, we'll have a consultation. You'll talk to someone who's going to answer most of your questions and get you started. And we can help immediately. Right. So, and then if you want to come here and you live around here, you live in the Southeast Asia, anywhere, you live in Australia, in the United Arab Emirates or Bahrain or Oman, whatever, you welcome to come here. So Oasis Healing in Asia, and beautiful facility. We're going to have all sorts of stuff. It's going to be amazing. So that's, that's, if your problems, if you have an immediate problem, I'm saying you want to get help right away, because a lot of people, I get a lot of messages from people that it's urgent, and I see and I read it and I say, yes, it is urgent and we have to do something. And so, those are that. So that's it. Yeah. And then on those groups, oh, by the way, if you're in the CFC group, you'll automatically be in the other two groups. Okay. So, it's starting real soon. So all you have to do is go to the website, drlodi.com, drlodi.com /inner circle. Go there and you can get on the waiting list for membership. And that way you'll find out when it's starting and you'll be alerted and you can join. All right. So drlodi.com /inner circle. And I don't say / because I've never seen a backward slash. So I just say slash. Are there backward slashes? Never seen one. Anyway, so health and healing group, parasite group, and CFC group. But I have to call it cancer guidance group because a lot of people not a lot of people, everybody else in the world doesn't, except our group, doesn't know the that we're talking about CFCs. So anyway, if I said CFC group, I mean, people out there would say CFC group. What the heck is that? So anyway, it's going to be great. I'm going to be putting other content in. And one other thing I'm going to do is I'm developing a, I don't know if it's going to be on Rumble or what it's going to be on, or if it's going to be part of these groups, but I have to do something to end the controversies. There's all these controversies that should no longer be controversies, like oxalates. What? Why does that keep coming up? Why do people want us to stop eating healthy food? I mean, and we're not just talking about Bill Gates and those guys. I mean, there's people like David Wolf and what's his name? Mercola. These guys are, convinced that we should be eating animal corpses. I mean, so anyway, these are not controversial. Believe me, they're not controversial. I have done the research, okay? And not only from my experience, for myself and from the people I know and the people I've worked with as students. By the way, I don't like the word patient because patient sounds like some passive thing that I'm working on. It's a weird concept, patient and doctor. How about student and teacher? I like that better, right? Yeah. And by the way, it goes back and forth. Sometimes I'm going to be the student and you're going to be the teacher because it's the way it is. So I got to plug this in so we don't lose our connection here. So and there we go. Cool. It's a good thing I had this laptop. Okay, good. Okay, now So, and then remember, so these lives are on, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, LinkedIn. You can also go to drlodi.com and go to the live, and you can stream live on there. It's on YouTube. Anyway, those are all at Dr. Thomas Lodi, except for the Twitter or the X. Uh, it's at Dr. Thomas Lodi MD. All right, all right. Oh, and by the way, I got a couple of really cool podcasts coming up. One is going to be on the gut, and I'm going to be talking to um, an amazing woman um, who is a physician's assistant, and I'll explain what that is um, what during the podcast. But basically, a physician's assistant learns all the necessary stuff and doesn't get all the junk that we have to learn. They don't learn the junk; they just learn the necessary. So it's cool. It's cool. And by the way, to give you an example, PA they call them. I usually trust the PA more than the doctor. So I'll give you an example. We used to send people to have their ports put in at one of the hospitals in Arizona. Um, I don't want the doctor to touch them. I want the PA to do it because the PA does 1,000 a day. The doctor's too busy playing doctor and looking cool to really get their hands dirty. And um, anyway, um, anyway, she's amazing. We're going to talk about the gut and its relationship to health. And you all know about that, right? You all know that the gut is central. I mean, it's not only central theoretically and conceptually, but in our body. If I look at my body, I say, oh, yeah, what's in the middle of my body? A tube. It's a long tube. How long is it? 30 feet or 10 meters. So I got this 30-foot tube with arms, legs, and a head. And guess what? If you take care of the tube, guess what you get to do? Live long and prosper, right? And if you don't take care of the tube, you won't be around too long. It's just the way it is. So we're going to talk about the tube and its health. And she's done an extensive amount of research and works with patients. And she's very busy, very knowledgeable, and charismatic, and all that. So you're going to learn a lot. That'll be a great one. The other one I'm going to be having is with Dr. Emma again, the Dr. Emma Brahmayan, the biological dentist, who I just happen to think is probably the best in the world for what she does, because I've never seen anyone bring it all together, all of it together, knowing that a human being is not just an elbow, not just an arm, not just a leg, not just a body. Not no. What else is a human being? We have this thing called the mind, and also what is the center core of our being? Spirit. So that all those aspects of our being need to be considered when we're talking about healing. And this is only dentist. I hate to use the word dentist because dentist reminds me of a mechanic, and that's not what she is. It's called oral health. How about head health? I mean, they work with the whole head, not just, and of course its effect on the body. So anyway, she's amazing. We're going to talk about root canals. We're going to talk about cavitations, which are jawbone osteonecrosis from failed extractions. Who does failed extractions? Regular dentists. How often? 100% of the time. And we're going to talk about other gum problems, and so any kinds of imbalances in the that we call infections in the mouth is kind of going to be our discussion. And she's wealth of knowledge. And the other thing we're going to talk about at that time, and also with Carrie, protocols that you can do that are, how do I keep my oral health? What would be a good daily regimen? And with Carrie, we'll talk about the gut. We'll talk about how do we keep this gut healthy, all right? Or how do we get healthy, and then how do we keep it healthy, right? And so those are going to be cool, and there's other ones coming up, but those are the two that are coming up soon that I'm kind of excited about, looking forward to, and I wanted to let you know about that. So, shall we get into questions? Yeah, why don't you? Can you speak about healing from sarcoma? The dentist's name is Emma Abramayan. She's in Glendale, California. And the best. Technically, surgically, diagnostically, doesn't use drugs, doesn't use antibiotics, uses essential oils. Yeah. So, um, now I haven't met every biological dentist. So for me to say that is not, I'm not, that's not, I don't know everyone in the world. I'm just saying of the ones I've experienced, I've never met anyone who gets all of that. I've met some excellent biological dentists who, there's some fantastic, really amazing that I would definitely go to. And there's a guy in Texas, there's Utah, there's excellent. It's just that they don't, the other aspects of it, I haven't seen, they don't seem to include it. Maybe they do, and I just don't know it. Anyway, so I wanted to get into the questions, and here's this first question, and here it's from Kathy, and she's saying, I'm getting ready to start a juice cleanse next week, and in my research, I came across the issue of oxalates. I used to think it was just spinach and oxalates, but it seems like a lot of seemingly good, healthy foods contain oxalates. I've listened to people who say once they get rid of those foods that they feel a lot better. This leads me to believe that there is an issue with oxalates. It's so confusing with so much contradicting diet advice out there. I just saw a list, Dr. Wallach, top best foods to eat, and it includes meat, eggs, and dairy, which I think you would say are not good. Well, Kathy, if you were about to start on a juice cleanse, which, by the way, we all should do 4 times a year minimum, at least 10 to 14 days, or a water cleanse. But so that tells me you were already you had some knowledge, and then you ran into stuff. So the research, you have to understand something. Okay, if you go to the Townsend letter, which is a publication for, it's kind of like, it's the only journal I know of for alternative integrative medicine and for the general population to be able to read and understand. Very good. And I think it was 2015. Somebody had wrote an article in January of 2015 saying the dangers of green smoothies or something because of oxalates. So that got me kind of, what's the word? Pissed off? Yeah, there we go. Why did it get me pissed off? Because it's not true. What? But there's so much evidence. Yeah. Let's look at the evidence. I'm going to do a special on oxalates. Okay, again, so I can, I wrote that article. You can go back and read it. It's in December of 2015. It's called Green Smoothie Bliss, and it was published, I think, in December of 2015. Townsend letter, TOWNSEND, Townsend letter. But I thought I addressed it, but I'm going to address it even more and more detailed. But for now, let me just say, Kathy, that, and it's, it's okay. So okay. Before we get on, so one of the big major problems referred to all the time with oxalates is that they cause calcium oxalate kidney stones, right? And calcium oxalate kidney stones are the most common, and first of all, if you ever have a kidney stone, you'll know that it is. Women who have given natural childbirth say they do that any day rather than have a kidney stone. And there's 2 kinds of responses to pain. There's a pain like you get when you have something called when you have peritoneal involvement. So it's so painful that you can't move, and if you touch it, it hurts. If you touch over here and let go, oh, it hurts. You don't want to move. Okay, that's one kind. And the other response to pain is what you get with kidney stones, and that's a writhing pain, and you can't seem to get in the right position, and it just hurts, right? And you're just doing that. So, but anyway, it can be very painful because you can imagine, you got your kidneys, and then you got this ureter coming down. Imagine you get a stone in there, or up in here, up in the kidney, and it's blocking the flow, and it's pain. So calcium oxalate is the big one, right? Now, as it turns out, which is, I think in and of itself should tell the story, and that is, who gets more calcium stones? Vegetarians or animal eating people? Animal eating people. So anyway, in the British Journal of Urology, right back in 1979, they were talking. The article was, "Should recurrent calcium oxalate stone formers become vegetarians?" Was the name of the article. And the British Journal of Urology. We're not talking about Time magazine, okay? A high animal protein intake caused a significant increase in the urinary excretion of calcium oxalate and uric acid, 3 of the 6 main urinary risk factors for calcium stone formation. The overall relative probability of forming stones calculated from the combination of the 6 main urinary risk factors was markedly increased by a high animal protein diet. Conversely, a low animal protein intake, such as taken by vegetarians, was associated with a low excretion of calcium, oxalate, and uric acid, and a low relative probability of stone formation. Okay. And so they talk about this thing is called oxalate dumping. And oxalate dumping is, by the way, there's no evidence for it. It's something, a name they're using. So it's a phrase they're using. And it says that if you switch from a high oxalate intake diet to a low one too quickly, you're going to dump oxalate. Anyway. Anyway, that's one of the things they're saying. They're also there's another one called when you have a condition that is just a condition. I don't know. For example, you've all heard of diverticulosis. Okay. The suffix itis means inflammation, right? Gastritis, pharyngitis, arthritis. Itis means that. Osis means a condition of. It means it's not inflamed. It just means you have this condition. In terms of in the colon, you can get these little diverticuli, which are outpocketings in there between the muscle fibers. There's these outpocketing pouches. Why do they form? They form because we're not eating human food, and it's going like this, and it can't. The peristaltic movement cannot proceed the way it should because it was designed for all this fiber called cellulose, and it's not getting it, so it forms all these little pockets. And so if you have all these little pockets but they're not inflamed, it's called diverticulosis. And as soon as they get a few of them get blocked up, something gets in there and they get inflamed, and then we call it diverticulitis, and that's the one that's painful. Anyway, so what they're saying now is they're using the suffix osis, so it's oxalosis. Which means the whole body, and there's neurological, and there's all kinds of things, and I feel terrible, and that's because I'm eating kale and spinach. No. As it turns out, and I pointed this out in 2015, just like with oxalate forming, calcium oxalate stones in the kidney, the things that are required are dehydration. In other words, and think about this. And this goes for gallstones or any kind of stone formation in the body. If you were to get a glass of water and you took salt and you started to pour it in very slowly, it would dissolve, right? It would dissolve until you got to the point of saturation. Then you would start to see the salt crystals again forming at the bottom. Okay, you got saturated. Now there's 2 ways I could get rid of that. I could get it back, get those salt crystals back into solution where you couldn't see them. Two ways. Take out some of that salt until it goes back to where it was before I added too much, or add more water. Okay, so it's a concentration situation. So the same thing goes on with gallstones and kidney stones. So if you're dehydrated, meaning you don't have a lot of, you're not getting enough water in your body, which is contributes to our blood volume, the volume of blood, then the volume of blood is not going through your kidneys. You're not having as much urine output because you're not having as much blood circulating. All right. And so that dehydration can lead to the calcium oxalate stones. Now, what is oxalate? Well, it's this stuff that's formed, our body makes it, and it's in foods. Now, oxalate, it tells us it's an anion, just like ascorbate. Remember ascorbate? Sodium ascorbate or ascorbic acid, vitamin C. Okay, so ascorbic acid, we've got a hydrogen connected to an ascorbate. We call it acid. If you got a hydrogen, it's acid. Take the hydrogen away and you put a sodium or a magnesium or a potassium. Now you have a salt. Okay, so salts and acids are that's, just, it depends on the cation, the positive charge one. Okay. Now, these oxalates are normally bound by calcium. And once they're bound, they come out in the urine. If there's not enough calcium, we have a problem. Okay, so low mineral levels. But it turns out there was some studies that looked at how do we help people that are recurrent calcium oxalate stone formers? How do we take care of them? It turned out that if they gave them magnesium oxide, and these are people that already are forming calcium oxalate stones all the time. They've been in the ER many times. They're very sick. They're afraid of it. And they noticed that if they gave them enough magnesium oxide, it didn't matter how much oxalates they ate. Why? Because magnesium binds, it's a cation, it binds to the oxalate and it comes out. Now, where are you going to get magnesium from? Oh, I remember. Remember? Okay. You know that, you all remember that process called photosynthesis, right? Okay, so just a review for those of you who don't remember that process. The green plants, are breathing in carbon dioxide, that stuff that we breathe out. They're breathing it in, and they're sucking up through their roots H2O, water. Okay, so that gets up in there, and now it's everywhere. It's in the leaves and everything. So you've got the water and the carbon dioxide, and then the light comes in and it causes a reaction. You result in the consequences, glucose and oxygen. All right. Just turns out that glucose and oxygen are what we need to go into our mitochondria to make energy. Is there a plan there? Was there some intelligence there? Nah, it's all random. There's no intelligence there. So anyway, that process of photosynthesis, which, by the way, is the foundation of biological life, without it, there's no biological life. Well, there could be some anaerobic microorganisms, but it's not going to get very far. Okay. Anyway, where that takes place in the plant, in the leaf, in the green leaf, which is why the leaf is green, is in the chloroplast, the part of the cell. It's a cell all throughout the leaf. Well, chlorophyll, which is where it all takes place, right? Now, what is chlorophyll? Well, if you look at it chemically, it is what they call a porphyrin ring. And a porphyrin ring is what? Well, it's 4 pyrrole groups connected by carbons. What is he talking about? Well, it doesn't matter what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, I mean, I'm just telling you that I don't say that so that you have to think about it and know it. You don't need to know what it is. The point is, it's a specific thing made up of this and And the way that it works is that it has alternating double bonds, which you don't have to know what that means to understand that when light gets into there, light is they call it photons. It gets in there, it's able to get trapped between the alternating double bonds, and you capture energy. It's called photoreceptive. All right. Yeah. So now, what is it that powers that, keeps that going? Because remember, every enzyme, every system of enzymes needs minerals, because minerals are the way you get the energy into a cell. Okay. You've heard the term electrolytes. They're talking about this, the sodium and the chloride and stuff in our blood, and magnesium. So anyway, so magnesium is sitting at the center of every chlorophyll molecule. Magnesium was why the leaves are green. Magnesium, which means if you're eating and drinking, if you're eating greens and you're drinking green juice, you're getting magnesium. Okay, so now you got the magnesium and the oxalates, and what do? They form magnesium oxalate. All right. Now, so anyone who has low levels of minerals in their body is going to be prone to developing those stones, right? And where do you get calcium, magnesium, potassium, and all that stuff? Oh, in plants. Oh my God, right next to the oxalate. And by the way, an Oasis of Healing in Arizona. We've been there 19 years, and we use a recipe of green juice, which is celery, cucumber, kale, and spinach. Oh my God, kale and spinach. Lemon and apple. That's the foundation. You can add stuff to it to make it taste better, because it's got to taste good. If it doesn't taste good, it's not good for you, because you will feel deprived, and that will directly affect your immune system. So you got to make it taste good. I don't care what you have to do to it. Make it taste good. Enjoy it. Look forward to it. All right. Now, so 19 years, the staff there has been drinking 2 to 3 glass, at least 2 liters a day, a quart, 2 quarts a day, 1 quart a day. When I'm there, that's why at least 2 quarts a day. People that come in that have been there, they come 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, every day. Do you know how many calcium oxalate stones we've had in the last 19 years? 0. 0. What? 0. Huh. But how can that? Well, it just is. How? Because we just discussed it. You're drinking lots of juice. So what is that doing? It's hydrating you. Because remember, juice is what, 97% water? Okay. Depending on the juicer. And then what? It's got magnesium and other minerals and some oxalates. Yeah, okay. It turns out too that the oxalate problems are not from the exogenously ingested oxalates, but rather from the oxalates we produce in our body. Can you believe that? So there are so many reasons why this is madness, nonsense. And by the way, everybody, kale is still a superfood. So is broccoli. So spinach, are you kidding? Spinach has got the amino acid content per calorie the same as rat's milk. Rat's milk. Why would he say rat's milk? Well, because when we look at the amount of protein per calorie of the milk of different mammals, well, first of all, the protein content of the milk correlates with the number of the length of time it takes for the babies of that mammal to double in size and weight and to be ready for weaning. Okay, and that's the purpose of milk. So it's different for different species, right? So we have only 5% of our caloric of the caloric intake from our human mother's milk is protein or amino acids, right? I forget. Cows are like 12, 13, 15, and the horses are 23%. Maybe it's the other way around. I don't know if the cows are. The dogs, like hyenas, wolves, like 32, 33%. And then the cats, 38%. Cats, obligate carnivores. And then the rat, 49%. And the rat doubles its size and weight. The baby pups, rat doubles in 4 days and they weaned. And then they weaned. Okay, I didn't mean to get off on that. But anyway, so 49% by calorie is the protein content. The same with spinach. So basically, spinach, um, kale, and then kale are between those two, you're getting an incredible amount of nutrition. Like everything you need, pretty much, except for a couple, and I'll talk about it in a second. So the other thing, you're getting this the celery and the cucumber. Why? Because you got lots of volume of fluid. Plus, they have a lot of amazing nutrients in them that are important. And then you add the lemon because lemon's gonna, for taste, and apple, and make it taste good. If you want to exchange it for carrots and beets, whatever, do it. Uh, make it taste good. Anyway, the only thing you're not getting from juice, regarding nutrition, is our fats and fiber, because that's what juice is. You take out the fiber. But you need fiber. Yeah, you need fiber, but you'll get it later. Okay, right now we're juicing. Why are we juicing? We're juicing to clean out. Okay, we have to understand there's a time to eat, there's time to not eat, there's time to sleep, there's time to be awake. Okay, so there's a time to cleanse. And so during cleansing, you don't worry about the fiber and stuff. You're going to get it later because you're going to eat healthy later, right? You're not going to eat like a typical earthling today. You're going to eat healthy, and that means you're going to eat plants. Can you believe it? Plants, yes, plants. And I know there's guys out there. I know one of the. I don't know if you still watch. And now there's a guy that sent me a kind of a few people have sent me these really angry notes. I really liked you until I found out you were advocating a plant-based diet. I'm a carnivore. I've never felt better. Okay. All right. So there's nothing to say. Good, good, good. By the way, you're not a carnivore. You're a corpse eater, but you don't eat animals alive. But okay. So if you feel great, great. That's fantastic. Good. Go for it. But anyway, so while you're juicing, you're just you want to be urinating out of every end you can, and you want to clean the interstitial fluid. That's the purpose of a juice fast. So you should do. That's what a juice cleanse is, and you'll be drinking all this stuff. All right. At the same time, it'd be good to do an enema a day, or go get at least 1 or 2 colonics a week during that time. Really clean out. Go to bed early. And read books on cleansing and fasting. Don't read books on recipes about healthy raw food because it's going to make you hungry or whatever. Don't, so especially the first few days while you're doing a cleanse, read about it so that because if you go out of the house and you go anywhere in the world and you talk to anybody in the world and you say, you're crazy, you're not eating, what do you mean, just drinking juice? So you can't listen to people because most people don't, not only haven't studied the subject, now they haven't studied it, and so they're repeating things they've heard or they think they've heard. Anyway, so you gotta read. The reason you gotta read is the only time you're gonna get the truth in the day. When you get up in the morning and you get up, if you do whatever you do, if you put TV on, forget it. There's no truth. It's not allowed. You go outside your door and you talk to people, you're not going to get truth. You're going to get opinions of hearsay. Every once in a while, you'll meet someone who is a learned individual. So you got to read, because reading is important every day, just so you can keep your grounded in truth. And what are you going to read about? Nutrition. You're going to read about biology, health. Those are the things you want to read about. Or you can read scripture, philosophy, right? Okay. Now the other, there's one thing I forgot to mention about all of this oxalate, producing oxalate stones, is if the urine is acidic, you have an increased risk of stone formation. So, what are acid producing foods? So, what kinds of foods are going to produce acidic urine? Animals, animal products such as eggs, cheese, milk. Yeah, and actually nuts, nuts. Unless you soak them. If you soak them, they become alkaline. Why do you soak them? To activate them. Why do you do that? Because they're not, you know, uh, they've got enzymes to prevent them from blossoming and blooming at the wrong time. So you soak them and you activate them, and now they're alkaline forming. Like a lemon is acidic. It's not the pH, it's not the acidity of the substance you eat, because a lemon is basically, got citric acid and the pH is acidic. However, it produces alkalinity. It's an alkaline forming. So anyway, that's what I just all I'm going to say about the oxalates right now, because I'm going to do a full discussion on that. And one of the things I want to do is maybe the what are we going to call it? Controversy. Correcting the controversies. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but something like that. Okay, let's see the next question. Anyway, I hope you understand. And Dr. Wallach is saying the best foods to eat are meat, eggs, and dairy. Well, just because someone says something, it doesn't mean anything. Even me, if I say something, or anybody says anything to you, say thank you. Very nice. I appreciate your opinion. Can you show me the research you've read that helped you come to that conclusion? Especially these guys in the white coats, right? All right. So if they're going to tell you something, say, okay, doc, I thank you. Can I see the research you read that helped you come to that opinion? And they should be able to show you. It should be right at the top of their head. Everything I tell you, it'll take me not more than 5 minutes to find it. Okay, so anyway, so ask Dr. Wallach. Show me the research, Dr. Wallach, of how meat, eggs, and dairy are the best foods to eat. Oh, it doesn't. I mean, it's Dr. Wallach. He's the veterinarian, right? The veterinarian, and he's got a naturopath, and agriculture. The greatest. If this is the guy I think he is, I have the greatest respect for him. I learned a lot from him, but again, he didn't know. He doesn't understand diet. It's just like there's a lot of doctors that know some good stuff that I've learned, and then they don't get it about simple things like eating and cooking and stuff like that. So. And so I've realized that most people's opinion exists to justify their own personal habits rather than coming from objective evidence. So, anyway, this is Sherry, and she says, I have a son that was diagnosed with leukemia at age 5. He's now 23. What can he do for heart health and recurring CFC in another form? Well, I mean, I'm really happy to hear that he's 23 and that was happened at 5 and he made it through. That's fantastic. That's wonderful. And that's beautiful. And so hopefully he doesn't have any of those problems now. You're asking about heart health. I don't know if this specifically has a heart problem or anything like that, or recurring CFCs in another form. Well, that's really, the answer, Sherry, is the same things that we need to all do. And that is we need to live healthy. If we live healthy, that always happens. Unbelievable TikTok. I have to push this jigsaw puzzle thing. Anyway, if we live healthy, this is an answer to Sherry's question about her son who was diagnosed at age 5 with leukemia, and now he's 23. Apparently doing well, I hope. And So he needs to do what we all need to do, and that is live healthy. And what does that mean? That means it, to get an idea of how we should live. Imagine that it is 7,000 years ago, and you're in some equatorial or subequatorial area. What would you do? What would you eat? Okay, you're in the forest, in the jungle. What are you gonna eat? What time are you gonna go to bed? What do you? All the things that you do. That's how you live healthy, right? You wouldn't be wearing shoes. You'd have your feet on the ground. You'd probably be moving around all day. You'd probably be lifting and moving and walking and stuff like that, right? There'd be lots of vegetation and water and fresh air and sun and all that sort of thing. And so you'd be able to pick and eat food and stuff like that. So, but that's in that form. So how do we approximate that kind of life in today's world where we're living in an urban setting in a condo, and everybody's got Wi-Fi and all that. So how do we approximate that? We do. We go to bed early, regardless of what time zone we're in, and regardless of where we are at what latitude on the Earth. Get an eye mask. I mean, if you're in Northern Europe or Canada, and it's still daytime at 8, 9 o'clock p.m. You put on an eye mask, you go to sleep. You still go according to our original circadian relationship with the Earth from the equator, because that's our niche. A frog needs a pond. That's our pond, is the equatorial zones. Yeah. Uh, anyway, uh, that's what you do. So health. There's only one way to obtain health, and that's from healthy living. There's no other way. There's no other way. Ozone, no. Vitamin C, no. Curcumin, no. Living healthy, which means you'll eat things that have vitamin C. You won't need ozone to do different things to your blood. That's very, very good if you are sick, because you won't get sick. You won't develop those. You won't have to adapt, because your biological needs will be met, because you will be living in the place out of which you arose, where you need to. A biological niche is a place where uh, everything you need is available, because that's where, and you're part of it, and you're also an energy source for other organisms and stuff. This is your niche. So I take a frog, put them in the desert, they're going to have a very, very hard time. You take a polar bear, put it on the equator, not going to do too well. A monkey in Alaska just hanging out by himself. So in other words, every organism is whereas the polar bear is going to love Alaska. Yeah, so okay, so we're adapted to that. So now, um, hey, this is Julie. Just had some spots burned off my face at the dermatologist. No big deal, but I have a small 1/4 inch circle that she wanted to biopsy on the right front collarbone, just to check. It is flat, not raised at all, and slightly red. Told her to hold off till July after my vacation. The only thing I think about biopsies is money and spreading whatever there is or is not there. Any natural oils, etc., to get rid of this? Suggestions, please. Okay, so Julie, spot. You mean? Okay, so it's not raised. It's just a. Is it red? Is it? Did you say oh, slightly red. So it's just. I imagine it's a circular, mildly red 1/4 inch spot. She wants to biopsy it. You're absolutely right, Julie. You don't want to go, you know, I mean, why would you take a piece of something, look at it under the microscope to find out what it is, and then what that's going to give you an idea of the treatment, I guess. Anyway, here's the thing, Julie. After your vacation, enjoy your vacation. After your vacation, do a cleanse. Do a cleanse. Do green juices, clean your colon, get really healthy. Um, Make sure you're taking vitamin C, sipping 7 to 7, and or taking sodium ascorbate, liposomal vitamin C, 1 or 2 grams, 4 or 5 times a day. And, take all the things we've talked about to be healthy. Do all that, and then but for the spot, I don't know what it is. I'm trying to imagine what a mildly red circular spot would be. Um, I mean, could be a fungal colony, or anyway. What really is very, very good is you can get 6% food grade hydrogen peroxide. You can get that. Well, you can just order it online. 6% is not enough. What you get in the if you go to the drugstore, in the bottle is 3%, but it's got something added to it. But if you get the food grade, it has nothing added to it. It's just hydrogen peroxide. Anyway, it will oxidize anything that shouldn't be there. Okay, it's good if you have basal cell, what they call carcinoma, or squamous cell carcinoma, or even melanoma. You can put that. You can even go up to like 8 or 9% peroxide. You can get ozonated olive oil. And there's this other cream. Of course, I forgot the name, right? Oh, anyway, I'll think of it. I don't want to go looking for it right now, but yeah. But anyway, those are the easy to deal with. Uh, but I like the peroxide's good because I don't know if you have fungal overgrowth, if you have. Uh, but anyway, if it's just a smooth, non-raised, flat, it's no problem. Yeah, I wouldn't even worry about it. Don't even give it more thought. I mean, do a cleanse and it'll probably go away. Remember, anything that's happening is either excreting toxins or an adaptive process somehow because we're poisoning ourselves. Okay, before we do this, let me go down here because I don't want to. I want to. Okay, so Facebook. Kathy, I've been reading the book you recommended, PEO Solution. It recommends an omnivore diet, so one that consists of meat and cheese and yogurt. Also has other recommendations counter to what you recommend. Now I'm confused and says don't eat fiber. I am feeling frustrated. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Kathy, I'm glad you asked this and I should have brought it up too. You'll notice that the PEO Solutions has 2 authors, right? It's got Peskins and Rowan. Peskins is a PhD person who eats dog food, and Dr. Rowan is an MD who eats human food. And the reason it was very interesting is because regarding oils and fats, in spite of the fact they come from different perspectives, they had came to the same conclusion. They showed you uh, the research. The whole idea about that book is not to get confused about what to eat, because Rowan doesn't say that. Because every chapter has Peskin's point of view and Rowan's point of view. All right, so don't get confused by it. There's no confusion. It hasn't changed. I just want you to understand about the oils. The point is that fish oil is for fish, not for us. All right. The point is we need omega-3s and omega-6s. Where do you get them? Oh my gosh, you get them from seeds. And Uh, actually, uh, should you have oils? Probably, oils are, you have to, get them from the seeds or nuts, right? It's always better to eat the actual seeds and nuts to get all the other content, all the other uh, healthy, good lignans and other things that are in them. Kathy, I don't know why you got confused. Did you not read Dr. Rowan's side of things? Come on. You listen. Um, listen. In 1950, on Life magazine, in Life magazine, if you opened up, I think the first advertisement was a guy with a white coat on, saying that and it said 8 out of 10 doctors recommend Chesterfield. Also, back in the 40s and 50s, doctors recommended that women smoke when they're pregnant because it will help ease the tension or the stresses of pregnancy or something. I'm not sure what words they used. Um, all right, so um, in other words, what I'm trying to say is that people can justify anything, and they got away with justifying that until the data came out about cigarettes. Um, I'm sure that people could justify anything of what they're doing. Robert C. Atkins. I was employed at the Atkins Center back in 2000, I think, and I had to be a closet vegetarian, but I was there, and and I saw what happened to Dr. Atkins. He wasn't that old. Brilliant guy, and I went there because I wanted to learn a lot from him. I knew about his diet, and I was going to just like keep, when you have a certain body of knowledge, what you do is you look at, if you're going to read a book or you're going to talk to someone, you don't throw out what you know. You just say, okay, I can't get that information from. I mean, like for example, there's a man that I respect very much, a doctor, and he taught me a procedure, and he's a master at it. But anything else, diet and all that, the opposite of you, because you have to understand and know that. So you need to get a certain body of knowledge. Our physiology has not changed. Okay, we have a 10-meter or 30-foot gut. Okay, with lots of convolutions in it. All right, um, cats, dogs. It's very short and straight. Not a lot of no, not much of a colon, and just comes out. They have uricase, an enzyme to break down uric acid into allantoin. Do we know? I mean, on and on and on and on. Are your hands? Are you tell me? Did God equip you to go kill a cow and eat it? No. Anyway, the point about that whole book, and I not please, anybody, you got to read the book just so you see that there's good research that shows that you should not have fish oil, and what kinds of oils do you need? Omega 3s and 6s. 6 is really important. What I thought was really amazing in there is that omega 6 is actually to oxygen what insulin is to glucose. Insulin lets glucose in, omega 6 is in the membrane, it lets oxygen in. Well, big deal. That's a big, big deal. So we need omega 3s and omega 6s. And by the way, cardiolipin, which is a fat that's pivotal in the mitochondria for producing energy, has got 4 fatty acids hanging off them. They're all omega 6. So omega 6s are important. We need omega 3s and omega 6s. That was the point. Nothing else. There's no confusion. There's no confusion. Our bodies, our hands, our instincts, right? You never have looked at a live animal and wanted to eat it. Never. And I never met you. You've never looked at a corpse and licked your lips and said, oh my God, I got to take that home. No. You don't like dead animals. You don't like live animals. You like it to be cooked up and called meat. And it's not meat. And why is it not meat? Well, meat means essence, right? The meat of the subject. Let's get to the meat of the idea. Okay. The meat of a coconut. Okay. So meat is the essence, and I do not, you do not, nobody that I've ever met or ever will meet would consider the decayed muscles of a corpse the essence of that animal. So we can't call it meat. I mean, don't be confused, Kathy. Our closest relatives are gorilla, orangutan, chimp, bonobo. Not dog. Not dog. Don't be confused. And anybody else? You did. Um. Oh, Douglas. Douglas. The words you just said. You said, I'm dying from metastatic bladder CFCs. What can I do? Okay. Turn that around, please. I know that's what you feel like. I understand that, and I'm sure you're suffering a lot. And Douglas, I don't know your history, and I don't know what um, they've done to you, but I'm sure you've been through a battle. Um, and I want to turn that around. I want to. I don't want you to be dying. I want you to be living, and I want you to. Uh, Now, I don't know what they did to you, and I don't know your condition. There's so many things you can do, Douglas. Give if you give a call to if you're in the U.S., give a call to an Oasis of Healing. StopMakingCancer.com. Tell them, ask them if talk to them, and you can get an appointment to talk to me. Um, but I don't know your condition, but I just that word means that you're buying what they're saying, and don't buy what they're saying, okay? Because you know they actually have kind of like actuarial tables like they have in insurance companies, right? They say if they know if a 49-year-old male is diagnosed with pancreatic CFCs stage 1, 2, or 3, whatever, they know exactly how long they'll live and how much money they'll get from them during that period. Yeah. So they already the system. It's in the system, even if the individual doesn't quite know it, but that would know what they think they know, and that is the assumptions they have is that you're not going to make it. That's what they conclude, and that's why I don't like the word the word Sagittarius when we're talking about this stuff, this condition. All right, because that once you use that word, you've already it's because it's synonymous with death. So we're not going to use it. Okay. So Douglas, we got to talk. Call stopmakingcancer.com. Sounds like you're probably in the U.S. Uh, and call and talk to Andy there or whoever else, and then you connect to me, and we can help you. I don't know what they've done, what they've taken out, but I know they've damaged you. Okay, but I'm worried about how they damaged your mind. Okay, here's a question by Mara. And she says you have recommended both IV vitamin C and Valasta astaxanthin, since the former in high doses functions as a prooxidant and the latter is an antioxidant. Is it okay to do both? Is it best to avoid Valasta astaxanthin on days one is getting high dose IV vitamin C infusions? All right, so good question. Yes, vitamin C ascorbates are antioxidants. They always donate, because the definition of an antioxidant, which is also uh, another name for a reducing equivalent, is donating electrons. So it donates electrons. However, if it donates electrons too, and in fact, a lot of its physiological um, value is its prooxidant. So, for example, when it works as with the deoxygenase enzymes to do all the stuff that they do, it's keeping iron in a ferrous condition from a ferric, which is keeping it. Okay, so that's an oxidizing situation. By donating an electron, it produces oxidants. Yeah. Now, Valasta, which is a astaxanthin that we talked about, which is basically a carotenoid. part of the vitamin A group that has an extreme ability to donate electrons, extremely alkalinizing. And it's but the Velasta itself has been uh, connected to a glucose molecule by a glycosidic bond, and the CFC will pick up the glucose, hungry, eating, and the Velasta goes in. I mean, the astaxanthin goes in, and releases its electrons, and the pH of inside the cell goes way up, and the cell dies. So yeah, so when you do the IV vitamin C and you get it now, if you're sipping 7-7, you're getting your vitamin C, your physiological vitamin C requirements met daily. Okay. Now, when you sit down to get your IV, you don't have to fill a deficit, and you can go straight up to being a pro-oxidant. Okay. So, and that should be measured, blood test to see if you get up to 350 milligrams per deciliter concentration of ascorbates in your plasma. And if you have, then you've overcome the catalase in the blood, and now you're in the tissues, and now it will do its pro-oxidant work. So let it do that, and you take your Velasta later that day. You can still take it. You just say you don't want. Uh, there probably is no problem, because the pro-oxidant effect of high dose vitamin C takes place in the interstitial fluid around the CFC. The astaxanthin gets picked up by the CFC and goes into it. So yeah, but not to confuse things, I would do the vitamin C first, and then afterwards do the Velasta. But you don't have to skip a day. But that's a good question. Aline, I'm really in need of help with parasites. Okay, so Aline, join that parasite group. Okay, so it's coming up soon. Go to drlodi.com/inner circle, and then get on that list. Okay, so we can get, and then as soon as it's going to happen very soon. Okay. Okay, Linda, cervix, neoplasm, lesion, and fibroids. What are the differences, and can they heal without surgery? Okay, so the word neoplasm means malignant. It's another word for malignancy. Lesion is a very non-specific term referring to, I guess, anything that is not usually present, right? It can be a benign lesion, it can be a malignant lesion, it can be a cut on the arm and have a lesion, it can be a, you know, uh, somebody with cirrhosis that has lesions. I mean, it's too. So lesion just means something that is not usually there, not part of the normal architecture. And a fibroid is a benign growth of the muscle in the uterus. So it's not on the cervix; it's in the uterus. So can they be healed without surgery? Yes, absolutely, because surgery is not going to heal them anyway. Surgery is going to remove them, but it's not going to it will not have removed the underlying process that caused them in the first place, and so it'll be back. And so depending on what you have, okay, but there's certain things we can do, for fibroids and neoplasms and all that. So yeah, yeah, but absolutely, you don't have to have surgery, but you have to know what to do. So you need to connect with. I mean, for example, if it's a neoplasm, is it just on the cervix? Is it CIN1, or they have different categories? Did you have a positive Pap smear, or is it actually a malignant growth? A lesion is just how they refer to it. And a fibroid, again, is inside and it's benign, and it's inside, it's on the uterus. So very different situations here. So I'm not, but there's things you can do for all of them without surgery. Yes. I mean, do the fibroids ever require surgery? They do. Do neoplasms ever require? Yes. So, but are they necessary to heal? Not at all. Not at all. Um, okay. So Sasha, please suggest your take on deworming protocols for CFC prevention and detox. What to take, how long, and where to get it. Well, on the drlodi.com on my website there is that webinar on parasites. It's like, you know it's we go into, well, almost all parasites. It's pretty extensive, and at the end there's protocols. So you can go there and also join the protocol, join the parasite group, right? But you can find the protocol I recommend. So for prevention, there's no prevention. We all have them. Even if we don't know it, we have them. So we take these protocols of 3 weeks on, 1 week off, 3 weeks on, 1 week off. We can do 5 cycles. We can 6 cycles, uh, to 10 cycles. And the way you know how many cycles to do really is by getting some sort of measurement with usually energy like acupuncture meridian assessment, or uh, what's it called? Uh, bio. So bio. There's another. It's like an acupuncture meridian. It's I don't know. I'm not really. I don't know about a lot of machines, but anyway, it's similar. But anyway, some sort of way of detecting energy flows and stuff like that. Because these, remember, parasites are very, very almost impossible to find, because they're most of them are, their larvae and eggs are in a microscope. They're microscopic. They're in the walls of our organs. They're not. So only if you have an adult in the colon, coming out in the feces, that's the only time you'll notice them. Otherwise, you won't notice them, unless of course you have loa loa, which is going right across your eyes, um, or people I've talked to is coming out of the nose, stuff like that. But otherwise, most of the time, like 99% of the time, we don't know we have them. Anyway, so Sasha, please go to my website, drlodi.com, and go to the webinar, get that, and then also join the group and sign up /inner circle. Sign up for and we'll go in that the detail. So now, ah, ah, so where's my water? I don't know where my water is. Okay, um, so this is by John. It says you recommend a raw vegan keto diet for active CFC students, not patients. Would you please flesh that out for us? Define active CFC and what recommendations you have, if not active right now. Number two, just how keto does it need to be? Meaning, what are the target levels of blood ketones and blood glucose ratio, and ratio they're the same. Number three, how and when would you incorporate long-term water fasting into the regimen? And number four, and additionally, would your parasite cleanse and general detox protocol recommendations change for someone like me who has completed 2 28-day water fasts since November last year? All right, John. So, I don't really recommend a raw vegan keto diet. Um, okay, okay. So therapeutic ketosis for CFCs is very strict. That means your glucose to ketone ratio, meaning dividing the glucose by the ketones, should be less than 1. What does that mean? That means there's actually more ketones in the blood than there is glucose. Before you make that division, you have to put them into the same unit. So as you know, when you do a finger stick with blood glucose, it comes out in milligrams per deciliter, whereas ketones comes out in what, micromoles per liter. So the way you convert the units is you just take the glucose, whatever that number is, 70, 80, 87, and you divide by 18. That'll bring you down to the same units as ketones. And then you can divide that by the ketones. And it's got to be less than 1. Very difficult, okay? It's insane to try to do it with an animal-based keto diet, because you'd have to eat because you need 80% fat and 10% carbs, 10% protein. 80% fat. Do you realize that would mean eating all the bacon fat and eating, I don't know, butter? Because you can't get more than 10% protein, because remember, protein will be converted by the liver into glucose. You can't get more than 10%, so you can't eat like a lot of meat, a lot of animal flesh, because you got to get the fat. It'd be pretty disgusting. But on a vegetarian vegan, you can do, flax seeds, chia seed porridge with nut milk. You can use nut butters. You can use seed butters, nuts and seeds. You can use avocado, coconut oil. Not disgusting at all. But again, if you're doing 80%, that's not sustainable over the long term. You can't. So you'd have to, if you did that, you'd have to do it, let's say 6 weeks on and then at least 6 weeks off of eating a full diet, a full health. Now, remember that CFCs can use both glucose and glutamine, which is amino acid, for fuel. So if you're restricting the glucose, it'll just switch over to glutamine, which is why Dr. Thomas Seyfried came up with the idea of using this drug whose initials are DON that blocks glutamine metabolism. But then we have to remember that glucose and glutamine are not only fuel sources, they are also necessary for our body to make things that it needs, such as fats for the membrane, fatty acids, cholesterol we need, amino acids, nucleic acids, which are our genetic material, glycoprotein. I mean, in other words, to make these things, we have to have. So the glucose not only is for fuel, but it provides the carbon backbone to make lots of these things. The carbon backbone. Remember, carbon is the chemistry of carbon is called organic chemistry. Wait a minute. Okay, I took the wormwood, black walnut, and clove combo last night, so today I see a curved something. Okay, so I'll get back to that in a minute. I want to just address this. All these things, the black walnut, the wormwood, clove, garlic. There's a lot of things that are really good for eliminating parasites. And about 150 years ago, before the world did what it did now. And I think organisms that were commensal, meaning that they were in us, but they caused no harm, and they were getting benefit, have now become parasitic. They're causing harm because our immune systems have been completely systematically attacked and trashed. Yeah. So, I mean, people that don't have any known CFCs or don't have anything like that have their immune. When I do a lymphocyte subset, their immune systems are in bad shape. Okay, so it's not just it's not the same thing anymore. So, and if you saw something comes out, that means you had an adult in there, because unfortunately these herbs are not able to actually get in and penetrate deep enough. And remember, each worm lays up to 2,000 eggs a day, and each egg can become 2,000 worms. So we're going to keep having, you have to keep doing it. So I just wanted to say that Otherwise, I would never prescribe drugs. And then it turns out that these antiparasitic drugs also block some of the significant pathways of the CFCs. So lots of things, So they're really good, and they block CFC stem cells, and so they do a lot of amazing things. But I'm just saying that I don't think at this point in time, unless you have lived away from everything that you and your immune system is still powerful, that you will be able to, with just herbs, eliminate parasites because they're stronger, we're weaker. Okay. Anyway, so getting back to the thing with the ketogenic diets is that, remember, here we go. Yeah. Okay. So remember the ketogenic diet that uh, you can force the CFCs into eating glutamine. They become glutamine dependent. Okay. So that's something. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me, Carol. You registered for that webinar, and how does it load? No tech got back to me. Okay, so I'm gonna take. Uh, uh, Thank you for letting me know. I'm gonna have somebody get back to you. Let me just take it. There we go. Okay, good. I'll get back to you for that. Sorry about that, Carol. I'm like you too. Yeah, I can't figure these things out. IT stuff. So, and we need glutamine for the nitrogen to make amino acids and to make nucleic acids, things like that, genetic material. So they're not only fuel sources, but they're that, and glutamine is the primary fuel source for our lymphocytes. So if we were to use that drug DON and block it, then our lymphocytes would die. They wouldn't be able to survive. The cells in our small intestines, called the enterocytes, they need glutamine for their primary fuel source. So you can't eliminate them. And by the way, on a 41-day water fast, when I do a finger stick on people, I see that they still have a normal glucose. Yeah, that's true. Yes. If you undertreat the parasites, you will just make them migrate. And you don't want that. So let's just get in there, kill them, and then we'll clean up our bodies and be okay. So now that's the one thing. I would, okay, what I recommend is a uncooked food that is delicious, that you make sure that it's delicious, that you love it, you look forward to it. And you can make all sorts of stuff. That is about 60% fats, healthy fats, chia seeds, flax seeds, nuts, seeds, nut butters, seed butters, avocado, coconut oil, all that stuff. Why? Because you have to get your cellular membranes strong. You're making 37 million new cells a second, so you want them to be really powerful. Why? So that they can hold in more voltage. Because when your voltage gets up to minus 70, there's no CFCs anymore. So that's what you got to do. So and it takes a good 9 months of lots of fat, healthy fats, to change over pretty much most of your cell membranes. Okay, so that's very, very important for healing. So that's what I recommend, and I recommend to eat. But that's not ketogenic. That's not enough to produce ketones. I mean, you will, because you'll produce ketones because you're only eating in a 6-hour window, and you're not eating the other time. So, and you stopped eating 4 to 5 hours before sleep, so that when you wake up, you'd have ketones maybe at 2. So so that's, but it's not, technically what they call a ketogenic diet. So the other part of your question. Oh, Define active CFCs. Well, what I meant was that you got a tumor somewhere and it's been found. Um, yeah, but I see your point. If you don't have a tumor that's discoverable, then you do have either uh, micrograms or milligrams of it, and those are active. Yeah, they're active, but they're not yet a tumor, so you can keep them that way by it strengthening your immune system, getting rid of your toxins, eating all this stuff. Okay. Okay, so we were so number two was just how keto this meaning. Yeah, so I told you that the glucose to ketone index has to be less than 1. Okay, and how and when would you incorporate long-term water fasting into the regimen? Okay, so long-term water fasting would be uh, depending on your condition. Um, if someone were cachectic, they were already like, losing muscle mass and stuff like that, they couldn't do the water fast. What they would do is they would eat really healthy until they can get their weight up to a point, and then do the water fast, because otherwise the biochemistry of the fast to actually eliminate CFCs requires that there be enough fat to run the show. And if you don't have it, it won't run. So you've got to have that. Um, other than that, I mean, whenever you're ready to do a long water day, a 7 to 40 day water fast, 41 days, it turns out, is whenever you're ready and you've got enough fat, uh, it's time. But you got to have, if you're getting up to beyond, like you said, you've done up to, what is it, 20 days, 28 days. That's great. Um, but beyond that, you can imagine it gets hard to drink enough water. You get dehydrated. So you got to have someone to help you most of the time, like just to give IV fluids. That's most of the time. You need to be supervised at that point. But the water, in any time, because it's fantastic as long as you're already okay, you're nourished. And with the parasite cleanse, this is number 4, parasite and general detox protocol recommendation change for someone. Yeah, I mean, would it change for someone like you who's done 2 28-day water fasts? Well, you want to. I wouldn't be taking these medicines, these drugs while you're fasting. You can't be taking anything. But if you're back to eating and you're eating healthy and all that, then you can do the parasite cleanse, and you should, because they're in there. Um, you probably won't have to do as many um, cycles if you could get over to Dr. Simon Yu in St. Louis and have him check you for parasites. You can see how big of a problem it is, and anyone can do that. Um, but at least, I mean, I would say at least everyone should do a minimum of 3 to 6 cycles. 3 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off. But very, very important, because these guys are in there. And there's even, I don't know, it's I guess it's still controversial, but that there are these nano-sized parasites that are actually at the root causing these cells to become CFCs. Right? That's what Dr. Rife said, Royal Rife, and all that. So anyway, I would, yes, you would still do it. Would you need as many cycles? Probably not. Okay, Deb, there's a lady with an 11-year-old daughter in Africa who needs advice about leukemia. Um, she relapsed after numerous treatments. Yeah. Uh, yeah, she can absolutely give me a call, Deb. I don't know how. Uh, contact the Oasis Healing Asia and tell them that I said for her to get through to me. Okay. Okay. So now, wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. There's that. Huh. Wait. Excuse me. 1 second. Where's that? Where's the water? It's not around here. I'll get it later. It's okay. Um, I should have brought it. Anyway, okay. This is uh, Chris. There is no number I can call, and no one is replying to my emails. Wow, Chris, is that what I'm saying, Chris? Okay, I'm. Uh, this is Instagram. I'm really sorry. I don't know what number you're calling. Uh, an Oasis of Healing in Arizona. There's the phone. I mean, the phone number is 480-834-5414, 480-834-5414. Uh, if you're sending emails there, you can also, or you can call and ask for Andy. Um, you know, or I don't know where you're writing to or what you're referring to. Um, the other thing you can do is send a message to hello@drlodi.com, and tell them that that your problem, and that I told you to call and someone needs to help you. This is crazy. I really apologize for that. And this is from, I wish I had, do I actually need 2 sets of glasses? Yeah, yes, I do. This is Alicia. That was Chris. Yeah. Okay. And please, Chris, please, hello at drlodi.com and drlodi.com, or call an Oasis of Healing, um, write to them, or write to Oasis Healing Asia and tell them I said that. Okay. And if it doesn't happen, let me know, please. Okay. So Chinese medicine believe it's important for women to eat red meat 3 times a week. Is it okay to do so? Alicia. Um, okay, so Chinese medicine. I have incredible respect for Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, and all the indigenous medicines. And I look at their cooking as medicinal. So when the Chinese medicine, when we have a Chinese traditional Chinese physician who works with us in the U.S., and he makes these teas with all kinds of herbs and stuff like that. It tastes terrible, but I see them as medicinal, not for nourishment. Now, eating animals, not only is there no reason that we have to eat them, they're not healthy for us. So, no, the answer is no. I mean, no. And I'm going to make that. I mean, when I make this little webinar, whatever I'm going to call it, on to try to end the whole controversy, you're going to see. You're going to say, no way. Okay, so now this is Tess. Metastasis in my neck to prevent paralysis. Radiation is recommended. I've done holistic treatments. Okay, now Tess. I don't know your situation. If you've got metastasis in your neck, sounds like it's on your spine, and if it's encroaching on your spine, then that is one of the times you would use radiation. There are certain times you would use radiation. And if something is about to or starting to impact your spinal cord, then yes, absolutely. But I'm not sure if where you are in the process, because if it's not impending, then you don't quite have to do that. There's other things you can do. But now you say you've done holistic treatments, but a lot of people have and say they have. But if I look at their programs, it's not like rational. It'll be like, well, I did this a few times one week, and then I did this another week, or I'm doing this once a week, and it's really what I don't see is that any center really is saying, okay, what is the value, for example, of high dose vitamin C, and what is the dosages and frequency that will give us the best result for that one. And then if we're going to use curcumin, and we're going to what for the same. So, um, but I don't see that, and I just see that. Well, we'll try this twice a week. We'll do this once a week. And you know, it's just not quite enough. So I see what's happening most times when we say holistic care. We haven't gone through. No one has looked into, and there's really no studies on it. So we've had to do that ourselves, which is why we have specific programs. Um, but people don't really look into that, and so I think what a lot of people are getting in holistic centers is they're getting a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and so they're not getting enough dosage and frequency of any one of them. They're getting a lot of them, and it just doesn't add up to much. So, and they're calling it holistic, and it all comes under the same heading. uh, wow, this is Chris. I've been trying to reach you since March. Okay, so Chris, oh, we had one. It was postponed, and no one joined the second one. Huh. Okay, so call. I mean, Oasis Healing Asia. Contact them. Tell them that you about this situation. That I would like them to connect you to me. All right. I'm very sorry. Very, very sorry, Chris. Lisa, what are your thoughts? AZAC tincture for fighting CFCs. AZAC is very good, but I mean, it's a good adjunct. It's good to add, but it's not enough. It's not. It's not enough in and of itself. But it's very good. Yes. Um, so if CFC is spreading, what can you do to make it stop? The treatments aren't working. Yeah. So spreading, remember, is CFC stem cells. So you've got to have something that's eliminating CFC stem cells. So also you've got to make sure that you've removed all the possible toxicities. So if you've seen a biological dentist, a good one, you've got to make sure you've done that, and you've had that cleared. Parasite cleanse. You've got to have done a green juice clean, cleaned out the interstitial colonics. You've got to clean out all the possible toxins. Then you need to. The other big problem is the immune system becomes paralyzed by the tumor microenvironment, and there are things we can do. Wait a minute. On diverticulitis, a diet for diverticulitis. Yes, eat vegetables. Lots of uncooked vegetable salads. Make if you don't like broccoli raw, uh, uh, put it in a real high speed blender with some raw almond butter and a little bit of maybe a nut milk, and it becomes a really delicious uh, soup. You got to eat that because you need that fiber. That's what you need in diverticulitis. Absolutely. All right. So anyway, where was I now? So it's okay. So we've got to stop. Okay, the tumor microenvironment is the big one because as soon as the immune system gets in there to eat the tumor, it gets turned around. It gets either inactivated or gets starts working for the tumor, whether it's macrophage, dendritic cell, or natural killer cell, activated T. So they all get that way. So we've got something. So what I have found is really the way to do that is with methionine and enkephalin, which is a 5 amino acid peptide, uh, MET5. Um, and also you need TA1, thymosin alpha 1, to bring up your T cells and all those. So we got to restore, we got to get the immune system working again. Um, but we've got to eliminate and kill the CFC stem cells. What kills CFC stem cells? Ivermectin, mebendazole, niclosamide, vitamin C, curcumin, and doxycycline are the big ones that eliminate CFC stem cells. But anyway, it sounds like we need to talk. Please contact either center and let's get started. Uh, okay, Lisa, is it okay to take lion's mane or any mushroom powder every day? Yes, it's okay. Mushrooms, yes. Okay, glioblastoma. Someone's asking how to deal with glioblastoma. It's very, very, very important. We have exceptional good results with that, but that's because we deal with the biological dentistry number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then parasites and all that stuff. So you got to do that immediately, quickly, and by the best people. So your name is. Can you believe how blind I am? Your name is Pros. Huh. Uh yeah, so please diagnose in November. Okay, so all right, we got to jump on this, Pros. So contact me. There's a um either one of those, tell either stopmakingcancer.com, which is an Oasis of Healing in Arizona, or Oasis Healing Asia. And they, we've got to talk to help you get through this. Wow, this Jaquino Noir, Jaquino, 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 no, I don't know. Sorry, I'm not saying your name right. But why do you take melatonin and in such large quantities? Okay, real quickly, that's possible. That is melatonin is a neuroimmune modulating substance. We call it a hormone, but it's not quite like a hormone. It's made by the pineal gland in the brain, so basically it's a neurotransmitter kind of thing. But it turns out to be an immune enhancer. So anyway, its function, it's got three fundamental functions. Number one, it establishes the sleep cycle, so it kind of gets you sleepy and gets you ready to go to sleep. Number two, it is the most potent scavenger of the hydroxyl radical, which is a biochemical intermediate in many situations. From toxins to normal biology, it accumulates and it is damage. So we have two large systems to get rid of that. One is we produce about 10 liters of molecular hydrogen every day, which neutralizes it, and gas. And secondly, melatonin. Every melatonin molecule grabs four of them. So while we're sleeping, the night janitor, melatonin takes care of that. Very, very important. Without that, you'd have you wouldn't live very long. And the third thing it does is it's an incredible immune booster. And so people that are blind have less CFCs than we do because they're making melatonin all the time because the thing that stimulates the enzyme to produce melatonin is darkness when you get below a certain luminosity. So blind people are always in the dark. So that's that, so that's why you take it in large quantities, because um, you want all that immune power, and you want all the uh, mopping up of the hydroxyl radical that you can get. Um, very, very important. And you don't have to worry about it suppressing your own ability to produce it, because it can't. It doesn't. It's not like other hormones in that regard at all. And so, wow, Elisa is asking, are there any options to support a liver that is mostly taken over by CFCs with recent jaundice? We are in the hospital due to complications, so coffee enemas are not available. They don't think stents or a drain are an option because of the tumor load. Yeah, so you know, okay, so they've already decided, you don't decide. They have already decided um, what they've decided anyway. So here's the thing: can you get out of the hospital? Now, they won't put a stent in, but a stent would, if you're starting to get jaundice, that means it's affecting the biliary system. And if that starts going up, you've got to get a stent, or it's going to really make the liver function normal, completely not work, abnormal. Now, I don't know if you've got CFCs, if you've got a lot in your liver. So, again, we've got to make sure you get all the toxins out. We got to restore your immune system, and we've got to use metabolic therapies that eliminate that. There's a lot we can do, but I don't really know your your situation, and I don't know your liver function at this point. Um, and I guess you're in there because you've got you have ascites, you have, and so I don't know your situation, so really hard to say, but I can't believe they won't put a stent in because they don't think you're going to make it because you got too much tumor. That's crazy. They're like so sick. So I wish I could uh, help. Where are you? Are you in the U.S.? I don't know. I'm so, no, you can't. Vegan, vegetarian animals eat all day long. Yeah, true. Yeah, that's true, Barry. But what does that mean? Are you saying something? We should be eating all day long. Okay, here's Walid. Walid saying girlfriend has TNBC, triple negative breast CFCs. I recommend that she get chemo. I have recommended her fenbendazole, nystatin, and elemental vor. Is it okay? Niclosamide, very, very, very good for triple negative. Niclosamide, which is an antiparasitic, but your girlfriend needs to do a lot of all the same things we didn't do. And chemo is only going to make it spread. Very. I've also started high fat, meat based, low carb. Wow, I feel great finally. I'm loving the high fat. So calm, happy. You get high fat from chia. I love it too. 6 tablespoons of chia seed in a nut milk, and then a flaxseed smoothie later on. Nut butters and seeds. You get a lot of high fat. Really good. Yeah. And if you're eating a lot of meat, you're getting more protein than fat, and And animal protein is amino acids, and the amino acids go to the liver, get turned into glucose. So you can't have, if you're trying to be um, ketogenic, not hungry and scrounging vegan food all day. Well, good, Barry. I'm not sure how you were eating, but I don't scrounge. I mean, if you're eating uncooked, healthy vegan food, your nutrient requirements are satisfied and there's no gnawing hunger. So I'm not sure how you were eating, but probably could have. But I'm glad you're happy. All right, so you guys, listen, I didn't realize it's like 9:20. Wow. Oh, wow. Anyway, Sweaty Cop, thank you, everybody. You stayed for so long. And uh, God, I hope my screen works because it's crazy, being on my thing. I got a lot of work to do and I can't. Anyway, this was fantastic. I'm glad glad we did this. And remember, go to drlodi.com and / inner circle and get on that list, and let's get this thing happening, because these groups are going to be fantastic. We're going to be meeting and sharing, and it's going to be a lot of, it's good stuff. And we can actually focus on 3 different things. Like I said, health, basically, parasites, and then CFCs. Okay. All right, you guys. Sweaty Cup. See you next week.